Hello guys! Welcome back to my channel, I Love Math with Miss Jen. In my previous video, we learned about addition of mixed numbers. In today's video, we will learn how to subtract mixed number. To subtract mixed number is little bit complicated than addition of mixed number. I will show you the methods and techniques on how to solve subtraction of mixed number by the given problem. So let's go to our first example. Here, our problem here is the numerator of the second fraction is bigger than the first fraction. As you can see, the numerator of our first fraction is 5. And the second fraction, the numerator is 7. So if you subtract 7 from 5, it will give you a negative 2. So this is answer. So let's go to our step 1. Borrow 1 from the whole number and rewrite it into fraction. Then add the fraction to have a new number as numerator. So here, our whole number in our first fraction is 7. So we will borrow 1 from 7 and make it a fraction. So our first fraction is 7 and 5 over 9. We can rewrite it in 6 plus 1 plus 5 over 9. Because 1 and 5 over 9 is the same as 7 and 5 over 9. And we will rewrite 1 into a fraction because we borrow 1 from 7, so it will become 6 plus 9 over 9 plus 5 over 9. Now, our first fraction will be 6 and 14 over 9 because 9 plus 5 is 14 and copy our common denominator, which is 9. So our new fraction is 6 and 14 over 9. Next, subtract the whole numbers and numerators, then copy the common denominators. So now we will move our next other mixed number to be aligned here and subtract the whole numbers and the numerators, then copy the common denominator. So our whole number here is 6 and 2. So we will subtract 6 by 2. So 6 minus 2 is 4. And subtract the numerators, then copy the common denominator. So our new fraction here is 14 over 9 and 7 over 9. As you can see, now our first fraction is bigger than the second fraction. So let's subtract them. So subtract the numerator, which is 14 minus 7, and then copy the common denominator. So 14 minus 7 is 7, and our common denominator is 9. So our answer is 4 and 7 over 9. Step 3, simplify your answer to the simplest form if necessary. If you watched my previous video on how to simplify fraction, you will see there how easy the steps on how to simplify fractions. Here, 7 over 9 is already in the simplest form. You know why? Because 7 is a prime factor. We cannot factor 7 furthermore. The only factor of 7 is 1. So 7 here is the prime number. So the rules for simplifying fraction, if any of numerator or denominator is already in a prime factor, then your fraction is in its simplest form. So our final answer here is 4 and 7 over 9. Let's try another example. Suppose we have 9 and 4 over 6 minus 5 and 1 over 6. I'm using a stock form method here because it is organized and easy. So here, our numerator in our first fraction is bigger than the numerator of the second fraction. So we don't have any problem about that. And let's check also our denominator, and we have common denominator of 6. So it's okay. Next, our whole numbers. The first whole number is bigger than the second whole number. So we don't have any problem about it. So let's go to our steps on how to subtract this big number. Step 1. Subtract whole numbers. So we have 9 minus 5 is 4. Step 2. Subtract numerator and copy the common denominator. 4 minus 1 over 6. So 4 minus 1 is 3. And our common denominator is 6. So our answer here is 4 and 3 over 6. But we have to simplify our answer. And this will be our step 3. Simplify your answer to the simplest form if necessary. As you notice, our 3 over 6 can be simplified into simplest term. So how to simplify it? Please watch my previous video on how to simplify fraction. So the factor of 3 is 3 and 1, and the factor of 6 is 2 and 3. So let's cancel out the common factors, and the fractions and the factors left will be our fraction. So we have 1 as our numerator and 2 in our denominator. So our answer is 4 and 1/2. So this is our final answer. Let's proceed to another example. We have 9 and 4 minus 4 and 3 over 6. So this problem is subtraction of mixed number from whole number. Step 1. Check and understand the given problem. As we notice here, our whole number is 9 and 4, but still we have this fraction. We should understand that we should put this mixed number in a group or enclosed in parentheses so that we can apply the distributive property. So we will rewrite our problem. 9 minus 4 minus 3 over 6, because 3 over 6 should be subtracted from 4, which is our whole number. So let's go to step 2. Borrow 1 from the whole number and rewrite it into fraction. So let's rewrite our problem again. So we have 9 minus 3, because we take away 1 from 4. We borrow 1 from 4. And we rewrite it into fraction. So 6 over 6 is also 1. So if you add 3 plus 1 is equals to 4. Since we will subtract our fraction from a whole number, so that's why we borrow 1 and we make it into fraction so that we can subtract our fraction here. So let's proceed. Step 3, proceed to subtraction. So 9 minus 3 and 6 minus 3 over 6. So 9 minus 3 is 6, and 6 minus 3 is 3, and our common denominator is 6. And step 4, simplify your answer to the simplest form. Again, please watch my video on how to simplify fraction. So we will simplify 3 over 6. The factor of 3 is 3 and 1, and the factor of 6 is 2 and 3. Cancel out the common factors, and the remaining factors will be our fraction. So it is 6 and 1 over 2, because our remaining fraction here is 1 as our numerator and 2 as our denominator. And our whole number is 6. So this is our final answer. Let's try another example. This time, we will subtract mixed fractions with different denominators. For example, we have 6 and 4 over 5 minus 1 and 1 over 4. We will be using butterfly method. Step 1, cross multiply the numerator and denominator. So here in our first fraction, we have 4 over 5, and our second fraction is 1 over 4. So we will cross multiply 4 and 4 and 5 and 1. So 4 times 4 minus 5 times 1 over 20. Our step 2 is multiply both denominator. So our denominator here is 5 and 4. So we will multiply 5 and 4. That's why we have our denominator of 20. And then we will simplify. 6 minus 1 and 4 times 4 is 16 minus 5 times 1 is 5 over 20. Step 3, proceed to subtraction. Now we will subtract our whole numbers and then our fractions. 6 minus 1 is 5 and 16 minus 5 is 11, and our common denominator is 20. And step 4, simplify your answer to the simplest term if necessary. So here, our answer is 5 and 11 over 20, and we know that 11 over 20 is already in the simplest term, because our numerator here, the only factor is 1 and the number itself. So this is already in a simplest form. Let's try a different method in subtraction of mixed fraction with different denominators. We will be using the same problem but different method. Here, we use the stock form in filing our mixed number. So 6 and 4 over 5 minus 1 and 1 over 4. So we will be using equivalent fraction. Step 1, find the equivalent fraction with common denominator. Here, our denominator here is 5 and 4. So we will find any number that will give us common denominator. So we will multiply 5 by 4 and 4 by 5. Then, let's rewrite our new fraction. So, 4 times 4 is 16 and 5 times 4 is 20. For our second fraction, 1 times 5 is 5 and 4 times 5 is 20. Now, we have our common denominator. Step 2, subtract whole number and the numerator, then copy the common denominator. So our whole number here is 6 minus 1. So 6 minus 1 is equals to 5. And subtract our numerator, which is 16 minus 5 over 20. Copy our common denominator of 20. Next, then simplify. 5 and 16 minus 5 is 11, and our common denominator is 20. As you can see, we have the same answer as our previous method. So then simplify to the simplest term. We cannot simplify further the 11 over 20 because it is already in the simplest form. That's all for today, guys. I hope you learned something. Thank you for watching. Until the next video. Please subscribe, like, and share, and click the notification bell to get updated on my latest videos. My name is Jen, and I love math.